Hello, everyone, and welcome to day number 51 of 365 Live. It's been 51 days to this year. And like I asked yesterday, what have you been doing in these 51 days? Well, I have been coming every day, just about, to discuss the different parts of what I do as a servant leader, as a business owner, and all the other things that happen as a result of who I have become. And I am loving what I do. I love my work. I love my work, and my work allows me to help others. But today we're continuing the conversation about the Shepherd's Call, a course that has been built just for you, whoever you are. But I just wanted to give you a little background today about this course. It didn't just start on a whim. And one day I woke up and said, let me just build a course called the Shepherd's Call. Well, it didn't start that way. It started in October of 2016 when I was asked to deliver a message on Pastoral Appreciation Day to a room full of pastors. But guess what? I was not a pastor, but God had a plan. He had a plan, and he was starting to work it out on that day. And when I was asked, I thought about inquiring and saying something like this, who me? I probably did say it. But I recall having to build a message for these pastors. And so I went to praying and asking, what should this message look like? What should this message look like? I want to be respectful to these men and women of God. I want to do what God is asking me to do. And the topic that came was the shepherd's call. The shepherd's call, and what does that look like? What would it look like for a room full of pastors and bishops and all the other titles that we wear on this side of heaven, right? But I built, what I did was I started to investigate the shepherd, the actual shepherd in the field, working with actual sheep and what that looks like. And when I looked at all of it, it didn't look so cute. But I continued to build on this message, and it became a tiny manual that I would utilize to help these pastors to grow further than where they were on that day. It was called the Shepherd's Call, and it took me to the book of Ezekiel. If for those of you familiar with the Bible, Ezekiel was a prophet and a pastor, right? And Ezekiel, in chapter 34 of that book, he goes very deep into talking to the leaders of that day, the political leaders of that day. And he was talking to his people that were in exile on that day. And so he said to them, you have fed yourselves and not the people. You have fed yourselves and not been a shepherd to the people. And when I looked at that and I thought about it, I said, Lord, where would you have me to go with this? Well, God allowed me to create a short bound manual called The Shepherd's Call. And I presented it on that day to those shepherds that were in the room. And at the end of that message, I had a line of men and women to pray for standing in front of me. And as I prayed for them and I prayed for them, I was just grateful to God that, he gave me that small manual. And guess what? I was done, but God was not. I was done, but God was not done. There was more to that manual than I could ever imagine. That was 2016. This is 2024. And so after that, I thought the shepherd's call was done, put to the side, somewhere in a closet somewhere. And then I went to California. And while in California, I had a book table set up with my books on it, and that manual was sitting on the side. And an apostle came by that I had never met before until that weekend in San Diego. It was a divine appointment. He came by, he picked up the manual and said, as boldly as he continues to speak into my life today, "Is that all you got, young lady? Is that all you got about the shepherd?" And I nervously answered, "Yes, sir. That's all I have." But he took me to another place when he said that, because it made me want to investigate even further what God would have to say about the shepherd and their call. And so I took him up on that. And I said, "That's not all you got. You got more than that. You just don't know what you got." And so I went to writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing until I wrote a book called The Shepherd's Call. Initially, it was a book, then I revised it into even more by dedicating it to one of the greatest shepherds I've ever met. His name is Ezra Nehemiah Williams, Bishop, Doctor. You know, there's now a street called by his name in Harlem, New York, because of the impact he made as a shepherd, as not just a shepherd, but a servant leader in that community. And so that is how the Shepherd's Call began. But while I was revising the book, something else happened, everybody. I realized the book was not just for others, but it was for me, and that God was calling me and appointing me and anointing me to be a shepherd pastor. And I refused to answer that call for a little while, but when I finally did, guess who ordained me as a pastor? That bold apostle who dared to ask me if that's all I had. That all you got? And to this day, he continues to challenge me with questions that make me question myself and ask myself if that's all I have. And today, I get to ask you, is that all you got? Is that all you got? Or have you been called to something higher than where you are, but you refuse to jump in? And when we talk about shepherd, we always seem to go towards pastors or bishops or apostles, but it's so much more than that. So much more than that. You know, I've had some people that have spoken into my life who I consider pastors. I consider them not pastors, but shepherds. Shepherds, because I became a part of their flock. I became a part of their flock. I became the one. I became the one that they, I became the one that they would lead to that next place. And so today, I get to challenge you. I get to challenge you. This book has been turned into a course, a 9-week exploration of what it means to be a shepherd. That small manual has become a 238-page book. And if I were to go back and think about all of the different people who stepped into my life as shepherd leaders, who were not labeled pastor, apostle, bishop, or any of that. They were called, first of all, my older sister was a shepherd. She led me to the Lord. My Sunday school teacher made an impact on my life as a shepherd. My youth leader made an impact on my life as a shepherd. So, where do you fit? Where do you fit? Where is your flock? Are you being the good shepherd that God would have you to be? And are you feeding the flock the way that He would have you to feed them? This course is for you, whoever you are. We always must aspire to be more than where we are today. Where do you aspire to be today? God is taking you higher, and this course is a part of it because it will take you higher than you can imagine. What it has done for me, it will do the same or even more for you. So if that is you, just click the link and join me on Saturday for a free masterclass at 2 p.m. Eastern. I will be just talking about exactly what that program entails, that course. It is not a bird course. It is not for the faint at heart. I treat it just like I would a college course that I was teaching in a university. So join me, if you will, on Saturday at 2 p.m., and you will get to know more about what I call and what God allowed me to build. And it's called The Shepherd's Call. Thank you again for joining me today, and have a great and wonderful day.